A Quiet Neighborhood in Gary, Indiana, 2011. A single mother named Latoya Ammons, along with her mother Rosa Campbell and her 3 young children aged 7, 9, and 12 moved into a modest rental home at 3860 Carolina Street. It was meant to be a new beginning, a place to build memories away from the struggles of the past. But from the very first days, something felt off. The air was heavy, the shadows longer than they should be. What started as subtle oddities soon spiraled into a nightmare of possession, terror, and a desperate fight against unseen forces. This is the full, chilling account of the Demon House, a case that baffled doctors, police, and priests alike, drawing in skeptics and believers from across the nation. Stay with me as we unravel every harrowing detail, from the eerie beginnings to the explosive aftermath that still echoes today. It all kicked off in November 2011, when the family unpacked their boxes and settled in. The house was nothing special, a single-story bungalow with a basement, creaky floors, and that musty smell old rentals often have. Latoya, a devout Christian working hard to provide for her kids, hoped it would be a stable home. But by December, the first signs appeared. Swarms of large black flies invaded the screened-in porch. Not just a few hundreds, buzzing relentlessly in the dead of winter when no insects should survive the Indiana cold. Rosa Campbell, Latoya's mother who lived with them, remembered swatting them away, only for more to appear. "This is not normal," she said. "We killed them, but they kept coming back." It was as if the house was attracting them, or worse, birthing them from thin air. As the weeks passed, the disturbances grew. Night after night, the family heard footsteps echoing from the basement stairs, slow, deliberate steps climbing up, followed by the creak of the door opening, even when it was locked tight. Rosa once bolted upright in bed, convinced an intruder was inside. She crept to the living room and saw it, a shadowy figure, tall and indistinct, pacing back and forth. Her heart pounded as she whispered prayers, and when dawn broke, she found large, wet boot prints on the floor, prints that led nowhere, vanishing into nothing. No one had entered the house. The family whispered about ghosts, but Latoya pushed the fear down, focusing on her kids. Then came the night that shattered any doubt. On March 10, 2012, around 2 a.m., the family was gathered, mourning the recent death of a loved one. Friends and relatives filled the home, sharing stories through tears. Suddenly, Latoya screamed, "Mama! Mama!" Rosa rushed to the bedroom and froze. Her 12-year-old granddaughter was levitating above the bed, body rigid, eyes closed, floating unconscious in mid-air. The room went silent, then erupted in panic. Latoya and the others began praying fervently, calling on God to intervene. After what felt like an eternity, the girl slowly descended back onto the mattress, waking with no memory of what happened. "I thought, what's going on? Why is this happening?" Rosa later recounted. "The visitors fled, vowing never to return. From that moment, the house wasn't just haunted, it was alive with malice." Desperate for answers, Latoya and Rosa turned to their faith. They contacted local churches, begging for help. Most turned them away, dismissing the story as imagination. But one church official suggested spirits were at play and advised a cleansing ritual. Scrub the house with bleach and ammonia, then draw crosses on every door and window with oil. Latoya followed through, even pouring olive oil on her children's hands and feet, smearing protective crosses on their foreheads. For a brief time, it seemed to work. But the entities pushed back harder. 2 clairvoyants visited next, sensing an overwhelming darkness. They delivered a terrifying verdict: the house was a portal, infested with over 200 demons, not ghosts, but malevolent beings drawn to the family's vulnerability. "You need to move," they urged. But Latoya couldn't afford it, she was already struggling with rent. Instead, she built an altar in the basement, a white sheet draped over a table, a flickering candle, a statue of the Holy Family, and an open Bible turned to Psalm 91, You will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day. She burned sage and sulfur throughout the house, choking on the smoke as she recited prayers. For 3 days, peace reigned. Then, hell broke loose. The demons allegedly turned their fury on the family, possessing Latoya and her children. The kids' eyes would bulge, their faces twisting into evil smirks, voices dropping to guttural growls that no child could produce. The 7-year-old boy spoke of horrors, chatting with an invisible boy about what it felt like to be killed. Once, he flew out of the bathroom as if hurled by invisible hands, slamming into the wall. The 9-year-old had violent outbursts, thrashing uncontrollably. The 12-year-old girl felt choked in her sleep, hearing whispers that she'd never see her family again, that she had only 20 minutes to live. A headboard mysteriously struck her, splitting her lip and requiring stitches. Latoya herself felt dizzy, her body heating up as if something else controlled her. Nights blurred into terror, the family fled to hotels when it became unbearable, but the entities followed. By April 2012, the situation was dire. The children missed weeks of school, their behavior erratic. On April 19, Latoya took them to see their family doctor, Jeffrey Onyekwu, hoping for medical insight. In his office, the boys cursed him in demonic tones. Staff watched in horror as the youngest was lifted and thrown into a wall without anyone touching him. 20 years, and I've never seen anything like that, Onyekwu later said, shaken. He noted delusions of ghosts and hallucinations in his records, but the chaos was real. The boys passed out, prompting a 911 call. At Methodist Hospital in Gary, Latoya tried anointing them with olive oil, but staff mocked her. The older boy woke normally, but the youngest screamed and thrashed, requiring 5 grown men to restrain him. That's when the Department of Child Services stepped in. Someone at the hospital suspected abuse or mental illness, reporting Latoya. DCS case manager Valerie Washington arrived, interviewing the family. She found the children healthy but the story bizarre. During one session, the 7-year-old growled, his eyes rolling back as he locked his hands around his brother's throat, refusing to let go until adults pried him off. Later, in an exam room with nurse Willie Lee Walker and Rosa, the 9-year-old flashed a weird grin and impossibly walked backward up the wall, gliding across the ceiling, then flipping over Rosa to land on his feet, all while holding her hand. He walked up the wall, flipped over her, and stood there. There's no way he could have done that, Walker said. Washington fled the room, terrified, later documenting that the boy glided backward on the floor, wall, and ceiling. The doctor tried to get him to repeat it, but he couldn't, claiming no memory. DCS removed the children from Latoya's custody, placing them in protective care. She was devastated, allowed only supervised visits. A psychologist, Stacy Wright, evaluated the youngest, noting he acted possessed only when challenged or asked unwanted questions suggesting possible deception or influence from Latoya's beliefs. Meanwhile, police got involved. Gary Police Captain Charles Austin, a 36-year veteran, visited the house with Rosa. His radio malfunctioned, batteries dying instantly. They captured a photo showing a white, smoky figure in the window when no one was inside. On a return visit with Reverend Michael Maginot, they found an oily substance dripping from blinds in the bedroom, cold, slick, and odorless. Austin, initially skeptical, became a believer. I am a true believer that there is something inside the home. Maginot, the local priest, interviewed the family extensively. He concluded demons were tormenting them and sought permission from his bishop for an exorcism, the first in the diocese's history. On April 22, 2012, he performed a minor rite in the house, blessing it with holy water and incense. But the real battles came later. In June, at his church in Merrillville, Maginot conducted 3 major exorcisms on Latoya, 2 in English, 1 in Latin. She convulsed, her body contorting unnaturally, growling in voices not her own. Police officers and DCS workers witnessed it. One felt a presence breathing down his neck. During the final exorcism, Latoya's face twisted in rage, but as Maginot commanded the demons to leave, she went limp, peaceful at last. An associate burned a paper with the demons' names, sealing the ritual. By November 2012, the family reunited and moved to Indianapolis. The paranormal activity stopped cold. "We left, and it was over," Latoya said. But the house's legacy lingered. In 2014, the story exploded in the media, published by the Indianapolis Star, drawing national scrutiny. Skeptics like investigator Joe Nickell argued it was all explainable old house noises from temperature shifts, levitation as a child jumping on a springy mattress, the wall walking aided by Rosa holding the boy's hand, allowing him to push off. The landlord, Charles Reed, called it a hoax, noting no prior tenants complained and Latoya was behind on rent. Psychologist Tracy Wright suggested the kids were performing for attention, influenced by movies like The Exorcist. Even Dr. Onyekwe remained doubtful, citing hallucinations. Yet believers pointed to official documents, DCS reports corroborating the wall incident, police photos of the shadowy figure, Maginot's detailed letter to the bishop. Captain Austin stood firm. "Everybody can have their own opinions, but based on what was observed, it was real." The aftermath intensified the mystery. In 2014, paranormal TV star Zach Bagans bought the house for $35,000, dubbing it the Demon House. He filmed a documentary inside, claiming personal afflictions, vision problems, crew members quitting after possessions. Released in 2018, Demon House included footage of eerie EVPs and objects moving. But in January 2016, Bagans demolished the structure, citing its danger, though he preserved basement dirt and stairs for his Las Vegas Haunted Museum. Visitors there report nausea and dread near the artifacts. Latoya Ammons, now living quietly, has spoken out sparingly. In interviews, she insists it was real. "I lived it. I know what happened." The case inspired the 2024 Netflix film The Deliverance, a fictionalized retelling by director Lee Daniels, starring Glenn Close and Andra Day, reigniting debates. Was it mass delusion, a hoax for attention, or genuine demonic warfare? Official records from DCS, police, and the church lend credibility, yet skeptics highlight inconsistencies: no prior hauntings, varying witness accounts, and psychological explanations. Today, the lot at 3860 Carolina Street stands empty, a patch of grass where nightmares once unfolded. But the story endures, a cautionary tale of faith, fear, and the unknown. If you've made it this far, ask yourself, could it happen to you? The Demon House may be gone, but its shadows linger, whispering questions that science and religion still battle to answer.